Hi, Jason Spangler here, the SanteeSwapper, back with another unboxing. This one's really cool, very vintage. I think the items in here are about 75 years old. This Scout went to a Jamboree back in the 1950s, and I bought it from the family. I mostly talked to the wife. This belonged to her father-in-law. Got on a phone call with the son and the wife and talked to both of them. Really interesting collection. It's just going to be cool to show you all this neat stuff. This is part of the fun of doing these unboxings. So stick around. I've got two boxes to open for you. Okay, this first box is pretty heavy, and so I think it has a lot of the paper items in it. Let me just sort of show you. I cut the top off, and inside here, sure enough, we have a lot of paper. So let me set this to the side just a little bit, and we'll kind of go through this. This is one of the key things I thought in getting this is that in this collection, the guy kept everything, which, sometimes that happens, but it's a lot rarer than you would think. So, for example, I've never seen this little pamphlet before. Mom, Dad, and Johnny, the Boy Scout. I don't even know what that is. I'm sure it was issued by the Boy Scouts. Look at the inside. This is kind of a cool piece. One of the things I'm trying to do in my business is to preserve the history of scouting. And to that end, when I do end up moving warehouses, which as I'm recording this, that's kind of where I am headed mentally and also just in my planning. And so I want to have a space where I can display more of my collection, and so these kind of paper items have sometimes been a struggle for me to have a place to really put them where they can be appreciated. And that's why when I ran across this collection, I was like, oh man, there's just like all this paper stuff from the 50s. And I thought that would be pretty cool. So here's a good example of that. Just again, not sure I've ever seen this before. True outdoor adventure begins at the trading post, the first step along the wilderness trail. Let me see if this is what I think it could be. Let's see. This looks like a fold-out poster of some kind. Yeah, check this out. That is so cool. Camping memories that last a lifetime. So this is like an official BSA trading post. Um, gosh. So this is for, it says fifth floor opposite Chicago Council Office, 9 West Washington Street, Chicago, Illinois. That is cool. That is bad. Oh man. Too bad you can't frame both sides of it. Check out that side. It's got some other cool stuff. So again, things like this, these paper items that are like 75 years old. Who has kept these things all this time? Turns out his dad did. His dad kept everything. And there's a couple of those as well. First aid in the troop helps for Scoutmaster training patrols first aid teams. Cool piece there. Some more cool pieces. This looks like another kind of brochure thing that maybe we was living in Chicago. They were sending these out because these all came in the mail. They're addressed to him, although I don't see a stamp. It's got like a prepaid postage thing like you would do for advertising mail. But I think there's more of those from that Chicago company. They must have mailed those out. Golly, he kept every one of them. Look at that. It's got his name on them. He kept getting these advertisements. This one says Christmas greetings. I wonder what was in the Christmas one. Let's just check that. Like, what would the Scout get for Christmas? I wonder. Unfortunately, this one's been a little tattered. It's starting to come apart just a little bit, but that's kind of funky. Aircraft recognition models. Wonder when that came out. Maybe around World War II. I better be a little more careful with this one. I don't want to cause any damage to these. They're so old. The Scouting Magazine, 1948. Again, more copies of Scouting Magazine, 1947, December 1947, January 48. Stamps, I guess there's the old original Boy Scout stamps from back in the day, and some letters he'd gotten. So again, from that Boy Scout trading post in Washington Street in Chicago, Illinois. And then, yeah, here's a letter, 1950 Jamboree. I told you this guy had gone to the Jamboree, and so that's what we're looking at there. The Scout Executive. Now that is interesting. This is the equipment. It says equipment number, Boy Scouts of America, and again, it's got the stamp for that place in Chicago. So I think this is the magazine that was given to professional scouters. So this would be really interesting to read. And then you check that out. There's an Air Scout on the cover, a Sea Scout, Explorer, and that's, yeah, a lot of history there. That's some cool stuff. Here's his old sash. Look at this one. It's been through the ringer. It's still holding on, but there's definitely some bug got in there and chewed it up pretty good. But he didn't throw anything away. So even though his poor old felt sash had been chewed up by moths, he kept it. All right, Boy Scouts of America Training Service Course, Chicago. Again, all kinds of cool paperwork items here. This is from All Scouts Aboard for the National Jamboree. This is the 1950 National Jamboree, and that's a big fold-out thing. I believe that was from the one of the train companies made that. Then here is his Jamboree Patrol menus. He has the original patrol menus, even with a little smudge of food on them. And these are printed on a cardstock. And then some souvenirs from Valley Forge and other touristy things. And here's something from Owassipee Lodge, Chicago. Let's see what this is. Probably a history. That's cool. Very cool. So looks like this came to you when you became a Brotherhood member because it says on your achievement of membership in our Brotherhood, or it could have been when you got your ordeal. Not sure about that. Okay, cool stuff. I'll have to look at this in more detail when I get it separated out. So then there's some envelopes here. I'm curious what's in the envelopes. Probably more paper because we kept all the paper, y'all. Oh, cool. Check this out. 1950 Trading Post at the Valley Forge Jamboree. This is like the little Trading Post booklet telling you how all that works and giving you the information. Here's a little souvenir packet from Valley Forge. He probably bought that. Of course, he has his luggage tags from Chicago. And then here's all his paperwork, his patrol equipment list. Check that out. That's pretty cool too. The Jamboree Essentials specified by the National Jamboree Committee. Cool stuff. This is the souvenir book that was published after the Jamboree. So this is kind of a slick book. I'm sure many of you have seen these from other Jamborees as well, but this has kind of got all of the cool stuff there. I'm thinking about, there's so many things in here. Oh, here's some cool patches. Okay, so Region 7, so that would have been his region, which would have included Michigan and also Illinois. And then here is a little, like, not a coupon, but they use this system. This is a 7-cent ticket, and you could turn your money into tickets and then use the tickets at the trading post. And then here's some mint condition patches. These are the little, what we would call the canvas. Most of these that you get have been sewn on things, so they're pretty bad off. He's got 5 of these that are in good shape. And then here's a sewn cloth badge. And then again, an identification card, the 1950 Jamboree. And then this one almost certainly is cut out from a felt pennant. So that is my guess that this was originally it was a pennant because it's definitely the blue color that I recognize on the back. And then one more, let's see what this is. Oh, this is his Philmont trips. So in addition to going to the 50 Jamboree, he also went to Philmont and has all the paperwork for that. So the Woods Lore Survival Philmont Scout Ranch, How to Eat Weeds and Like Them by Russ Villett. I'll have to pass it on to my daughter and see if she'll be interested in reading that. These are very common, these little Philmont rounds. They issue those a bunch, but then this is not so common to see, although Chicago's a big council, but this is their contingent patch. And then here again, here's some other handwritten notes and things he kept from that Philmont trip, including his health examination and a Philmont kind of a poster type thing. Let's see if this is a poster. There was a poster in here, maybe this is it, that I thought my daughter would think is really cool. I thought about maybe trying to frame this for her. This is black and white, so maybe had a little more pop, a little more color. But it's a really beautiful kind of hand-drawn poster. That is cool. Love that. She's actually out at Philmont right now. We're going to go pick her up in about a month, and then we're going to spend some time out west kind of checking things out. This collection has another box, so let me slide the paperwork over there without making a mess or damaging anything. Now, cut this open. I believe this is probably like a scrapbook. So what I might do is turn it around like this and lift this side and see what pops up on this side. All right, here's more of his memorabilia. So this is easy to spot. This is the 50 Jamboree neckerchief that he wore, kind of that rayon type material. And that's what this is as well. And it's always interesting to me, like you see the cloth ones, the cotton ones, it doesn't seem like they wore very often. Most of the ones I've seen that have sweat stains and were worn were these guys. And then let me set this up here. I think we've got a patrol flag. That would be super cool to see. You know, when they went to the National Jamboree, they would make their own patrol flags. And so this says Cicero, Illinois, the Pioneer Patrol. So I'm thinking that was their Jamboree patrol flag, which it's double-sided. That is pretty clever. Somebody spent a lot of effort on that. A couple of neckerchiefs, which are pretty normal, you see. Let's see what this guy is. Explorer. So this looks like sort of a hand-painted neckerchief. You know, that could be a little Philmont-ish. Maybe he went to Philmont with Explorer Crew 259. I'm not sure. That's kind of cool. And then here's a hand-painted bag from the 1950 Jamboree. Again, just says oh, swapping bag. Whoa, somebody was doing some swapping. Although I hadn't seen any signs of a lot of patches he traded for, but it says swapping bag, Cicero, Illinois. All right, hope he was doing some swapping. All right, found these in the collection as well. So these are patches, I believe, from Chicago. I need to kind of identify these a little bit more. I think these are from Owassipee. And then there's a trail medal in here, and then some other things there. So we got another, again, big on paperwork. Here's his wolf cub book. I'm sorry, wolf cub book, and it's kind of falling apart a little bit. And then here's his bear one. So these are, again, ones from his time. Here's a handwritten note of some kind. I'll read that later. And then see what this guy is. It's like unwrapping a present at Christmas or something, isn't it? Aha! Kept his handbook very carefully wrapped. So this handbook, I believe, is from the late 40s. That's the time period that would have come out. And then got a few more things here. These are newsletters. And when I was talking to them on the phone, they were explaining this to me, that he kept like all the troop newsletters. I'm seeing to see exactly if these are troop or council. I can't quite. Okay, I guess it's flipping around this way. The string has come out. This used to be bound together, I think, and this was the cover. Okay, so I'm seeing like Black Hawk chapter, which is a chapter in Owassipee, and this is 1947. Committee for Scout Troop 259, BSA, Mary Queen of Heaven Parish, and it's got the leaders' information, who the leaders are. And then this is a letter from the Lodge Chief of Owassipee, dated 1951. A Brotherhood questionnaire. This is information about going to the Jamboree. Winter camp in 1949. This is an advertisement for summer camp for 1950. So they had their own troop newsletter, and it was called the Duffel Bag. Troop 259, Post 2259, and Pack 3259, Mary Queen of Heaven Church, and this one's dated October 1947. The Cub Pack is fully organized. All right, that's great. So just a treasure trove of cool paper. And then right here we have a scrapbook. I didn't see pictures of this when we were going through things. There's a scrapbook here of pictures. 1948. There's some other little pennants in there and other things. I got to be real careful with this. It's been protected all this time. I don't want to mess anything up and let the pictures fall out of place. But a lot of just little Polaroid type pictures of their camping trips and such. So again, not the type of collection I normally chase down that has patches and memorabilia. I don't usually get like photo albums with pictures from the back in the day, but it's so cool to get that, especially as I keep in mind this idea of, leaning in to try to have like a museum space in my new warehouse. So we'll see if that comes to pass. Well, again, if you have a box of scouting memorabilia like this or bigger, or maybe one that's not quite 75 years old, still feel free to reach out to me, Jason Spengler. Go on my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. There you can see everything I'm doing in this hobby. Would love to talk to you. Text me, email me, call me. I'd love to hear more about your scouting memorabilia and the story that goes with it, and then I can try to share that with everyone else. Thanks very much for watching.